Hello and welcome. Today, let's dive into a topic that's crucial for everyone filing income tax returns in India. Financial year 2023-24 is just over, so we are in the beginning of the assessment year 2024-25. The Income Tax Department has released ITR utilities, and as of 17th April, more than 2.5 lakh returns have already been filed. So some of you might be wondering, should you file your income tax return ITR early, that is in April or May, or should you wait till June or July? Today, let me make it easy for you to find the answer. I'm sure after watching this video, you would be able to easily decide what's appropriate for you. That is, whether to file in April or May or wait till June or July. But before that, let's start with basics. If you do not know, the last date to file income tax return for individuals requiring no audit is 31st July. For other categories of taxpayers, this deadline is different, but for the purpose of this video, that's not relevant, so let's not talk about it. So for FY 2023-24, the last date is 31st July 2024 unless it's extended. And if you don't file your ITR within this deadline, then you would be required to pay interest, late fee and sometimes even penalty. On top of it, you will not be able to adjust certain losses. So if you want to avoid all this, you definitely have to file your ITR within this deadline, that is 31st July. If this is clear, let's now talk about today's topic, that is whether to file your ITR early in April or May, or should you wait till June or July. Let's start with advantages when you file your ITR in April or May. 1. No year-end rush. This would have smoother filing experience and this would also lead to faster processing of returns. 2. Early refunds. If you are expecting refund, then filing ITR early would help you get your money back sooner. 3. Peace of mind. Filing ITR early can eliminate last-minute stress. And nowadays, stress is the big health risk, so it's crucial that we don't get ourselves stressed. Because of all these reasons, does it mean that it is better to file your ITR in April or May itself? Not really, because this also comes with certain disadvantages, and the important one being incomplete information. If you are salaried and if TDS is deducted from your salary, then your employer would issue you Form 16 before you file your ITR. And for FY 2023-24, the last date to issue Form 16 is 15th June 2024. Let's now consider another scenario. Let's say you have certain TDS or TCS related transactions. That is, if you earn interest on your fixed deposit, then the bank would deduct tax called TDS if the interest is over certain limits. Similarly, if you buy a car, the seller would collect tax called TCS if the price of the car is over certain limits. The bank, for having deducted TDS, would issue you a TDS certificate in Form 16A. Similarly, the seller would issue TCS certificate in Form 27D. And these certificates are issued once in a quarter within 15 days of filing of TDS or TCS returns. Here are the deadlines of TDS or TCS returns for your information. You may pause and read it. For first 3 quarters of FY 23-24, by now you would have received these certificates, but for Q4 you wouldn't have received it because the last date for issue of Form 16A is 15 June 2024 and for 27D it is 30th May 2024. By now you would have understood what the problem is. The deadline for issue of these certificates, Form 16, 16A, 27D is either by end of May or mid of June. So, if you file your ITR in April or May itself, that is before these certificates are issued, tax credit because of these transactions would not appear in your AIS, Annual Information Statement, or Form 26AS. If you want to know more about AIS or Form 26AS, you may watch this video, the link is in the top right corner. A one-line answer would be, it is a tax credit statement. So, if you file your ITR before these certificates are issued, then tax liability in your ITR will not be correct, so you would end up paying higher taxes, which I'm sure nobody wants to do it. So, does it mean that you should never file your ITR in April or May? Well, that's also not true, and you will shortly understand why I'm saying so. But before that, let's understand what are the advantages when you file your ITR in June or July. 1. Accurate information, because by now you would have received your Form 16, 16A, 27D, etc. So your tax computation would be correct and you would pay tax that is actually due. 2. No last minute rush. no stress, so your return would be error free unless you want to drag it to the last moment. 3. No penalty like interest, late fee unless there is a shortfall in your tax payments, tax credits, etc. 4. No portal overload because there will not be heavy traffic, technical glitches, delays, etc. can be minimized to a greater extent. Are there any disadvantages if you file your ITR in June or July? No, except that you would end up filing your ITR well in advance unless that's a disadvantage for you. Let us now quickly understand the consequences if you file your ITR after 31st July. 1. You have to pay penalty, that is interest for number of days delayed plus late fee which can be up to rupees 5k. 2. You can't adjust or carry forward certain losses. For instance, you can't adjust business losses. Let's say you have started your business in financial year 22-23. Let's call this as the last year. During this first year, let's say loss from business is rupees 4 lakh. And let's also assume that you have filed your ITR after the deadline. During the next year, that is FY 23-24, let's call this as the current year. Let's say the profit from business is rupees 10 lakh. Had you filed your ITR for the last year within the deadline, you could have adjusted 4 lakh loss from this 10 lakh profit and pay tax on balance 6 lakhs. But because you have not filed your ITR within the deadline, for the current year, you end up paying tax for the entire 10 lakh. Third consequence would be delayed refund. If you are expecting refund, late filing can lead to late processing, which in turn can delay your refund. Let us now try and answer the pending question, that is, who can file ITR early, that is in April or May? I can think of two different situations. 1. If you have all tax related documents ready. 2. If you don't depend on Form 16 and other TDS or TCS certificates. In these situations, filing ITR early would be useful, especially if you are expecting refund because it can help you in faster refund credit. 2. If you want to submit your ITR to some stakeholders, say lenders from whom you want to borrow funds, and if you can't wait till June or July, then filing ITR early would be useful to you. So the decision depends on your individual circumstances, and if you ask me, the best practice is to file ITR by end of June or beginning of July, unless for reasons that we have just discussed, you want to file it early, but just ensure to file it before the deadline to avoid penalties. With this, it is a wrap on this episode. Hope it was informative. Thank you for watching.